if people are feeling like less confident or maybe inauthentic, what would you say to them at this stage of their life and business?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. The most important thing is to be yourself and transparent, but also because facial expressions are a key part of communication. I think that that's a really, really valuable piece. If you're a podcaster, if you're in social media, if you're, at the top of your game and you're an influencer, a big part of that is people being able to understand how you connect with them, and then they can connect with you.
Hey everyone, it's Tamara Thompson with Women Unlocking Wealth, and I'm super excited and grateful for my next guest, Cathy Goldstein, who actually came in from Florida, but actually came in from a seminar in Sedona, which is one of my favorite places. She's the CEO and founder of True Energy Skincare, and I'm just, again, so grateful to have you here in person.
Yes, in person. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here and really excited to find out what we're going to unpack here today.
Yeah, no. A little bit. I think one of the cool things about this show is like helping inspire women leaders to share a little bit more about our journeys as successful women in business, but them also like getting the inspiration, but tips, but also like those transformational stories of how we did this. And maybe we didn't do it at this point in our life, but we did it here. And how long did it really take? Because there's a lot of people in life and business for, like, we were talking about this off camera, but they're like, oh, it seems like these people have like success overnight, but it's truly not true. Could you share with our audience that's watching a little bit more about your backstory? Because you started somewhere completely different and then evolved later on in life to start the company. Right.
So my original background is as an acupuncturist. I actually was finishing prerequisites for medical school, and I got really sick with Crohn's disease, ended up in the hospital for 3 months, almost died. 2 years later.
You're like, almost died?
Yeah, almost died.
Almost died, you guys. It's like, no big deal.
A couple of times. Yeah. Saw the white light. And 2 years later, 7 surgeries later, in that process, I was really transitioned into going, where's the healing? Where's the healing come from? Yeah. So that's actually where I kind of transitioned into acupuncture, because healing was not coming from allopathic medicine, for Western medicine for me. So it was about me finding, like, how do I heal? Like, I saved my life, but how do I heal? So, being that I had such a traumatic experience in Western medicine and was really, really sick, I attracted a lot of people who had really severe autoimmune disorders, diseases, pathogens. Often heard, "You're my last resort," which is, it's a lot of humbling experiences to be able to be in that position where, I'm working with people who are really wanting just their health back. And so, but at 49, I had this huge transition. Because I caught myself in the mirror inadvertently. I wasn't expecting, and that's when you really see some like transparency, right?
Yep.
And I thought to myself, when the heck did that happen? I did not like what I saw. It really brought up a lot of issues for me. Like, it brought up, am I getting older? Do I need to do Botox? Should I be doing something different? Am I now becoming invisible because I've reached that pinnacle age of, what happens when we age and become invisible, right? And so it was a huge moment for me to really kind of go back into my practice, reevaluate what part did I need to shift to address why I felt great. I was practicing what I preach, eating well, exercising, meditating, and yet it still wasn't showing on my face. So I really went back and I reevaluated the things that I was doing in my office, and really where that showed up for me is all about the emotions and the emotions on the face. And, how we carry our stressors on our face was, it's so transparent now when I look back on it, but it's like the areas of like the disappointments in life from just, having those muscles really tight, or what I call the area of divorce, or those really tight areas between the eyebrows on those intensities in the process that we go through. But unlike the muscles of the body, they don't release. So we actually really need to figure out how to release those. So that was one of the things that I kind of transitioned into is how do you release the muscles of the face so that we cannot carry all of that trauma and look years older than we actually feel. And the other was, a desperate need for being able to get rid of toxins and be able to also have a natural facelift system, because I couldn't find that. I was using all of the, lotions and potions and expensive things, and I just wasn't finding what made a difference. And I didn't want to use toxins. So that's kind of how I transitioned into creating a natural facelift system from, all the way from here to there. And then really figuring out, well, what's the, what is this message that we're hearing from our social media and from our, all of the people who are influencers to us, or the people who are speaking from the stage, or, wherever that is, what is the message? And the message was that as we age, we're really losing our ability to be effective because we're not keeping up if we don't do all of the traditional things that, keep our face looking like a 20 or 30-year-old. But for me, it didn't resonate. I wanted to be transparent. I wanted to be able to be authentic. I wanted to connect with people. And without those facial expressions, you can't connect with people. So that's how I ended up in this transition.
I love that. Well, you said something a little bit earlier on that too, is like how sometimes women feel like invisible. And I think one of the things that's really important about what you're doing is like creating this experience for women where, they can feel authentic and not necessarily feel invisible, and they can feel in a way that feels good to them, right? It's the same way about like we're doing a podcast right now, speaking on stages, you speak at events, it's going and feeling comfortable on these stages, or doesn't have to be women on stages, right? But this is just one example.
Right.
And people even in business, going out to business meetings, in the boardroom, different things like that. Like you want to feel comfortable as a woman, especially the women watching this are primarily women in business.
Yes.
Right.
Powerful.
And so what have you seen by creating this company? But actually, let me rewind it a little bit here. You started this journey at 49.
Right.
But we were talking a little bit off camera about how long the journey truly took to create this business. Could you share a little bit more about that backstory?
Yeah. So at 49 was when I really had that transition, and I had really kind of pulled together my tools of energy medicine, quantum biology, frequencies and things like that to develop the natural facelift system. But it's a pretty big stretch, I mean, for a lot of people. And, at 40, I'm 65 now, so 49, whatever year that is, it was a little before its time. So what I came across is a lot of opposition. A lot of like the first one was too good to be true. Right. So I did a clinical, I actually had a study with a third party physician who showed some amazing results. But even with that, people were still too good to be true. Those women aren't, me, I mean, just all of those things. But the bigger part of that was too, is that the companies that saw it, I actually had 3 different companies contract me to be marketing and actually shelf me for a year and a half.
Oh,
either because they were developing their own product, or because the person that they loved the concept, but the primary person that they were focusing on was bringing in more income for them. So, here I am 10 years later, having gone through all of that process, I asked myself many times, does True Energy Natural Facelift solve a problem that we actually have? Because I think that was my saving grace, if you will. Because if it hadn't, I would have been truthful to myself and said, you know what? Because I thought about it. Maybe this isn't the time. Maybe this isn't the product. Maybe I don't have the market. Yeah, exactly.
But I think everybody has those what ifs on that side. But you plowed through it.
Yeah. Well, because every time I was like, no, this is good. This is good. This is worth
that
it.
Intuition's there, let's go. Your soul's like, I got this.
Yeah, exactly. I can do this, right?
Yeah.
But really what happened for me after, 10 years in 2019 was because I thought I couldn't market it myself because I'm a physician. I don't know how to market. But then when I realized at 2019 that it wasn't going well the other way, I thought, well, you know what? It is my product. I do know what I'm talking about when I talk about it.
Well, you're passionate and you have a story behind it to back it. And
right.
I think a lot of the times, like, at least between like you and I both have these different type of stories that where we hit these rock bottoms or we went through these experiences, and not everyone has these types of stories. We actually talked about this before, but I think women just need to understand that those sometimes do transform into something much bigger.
Right.
And that you actually found that story that helped ignite that. But then you had that gut behind to be like, no, this is much needed at this point. And I think that a lot of people give up, and it's so incredible that you didn't, and you just plowed through that experience too.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, and the experience at 26 was my rock bottom, you know. My experience at 49 was because of I'm not the only 49-year-old who looks in the mirror in the morning and goes, what the heck?
What the heck? Yes.
What can I do about this other than, yes.
That happened to me later. I'm 45 now, but I had my awakening too on health journey in a different way with health and wellness. But I think that when you have those aha moments, you're like, okay, I got this. Right. So you don't always have to have those back up against the wall stories.
No. But the tenacity, you know, I mean, if you really believe in what you're doing and you know you have a voice for it and you know that people, like if you talk to someone and you tell them your story and they go, that's amazing. Who wouldn't do that? You're on the right track.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And I think people don't always pay attention to that, and that's key.
So let's talk a little bit on the business side. So you built this and like you kind of went through this like transformational period of building this. How long did it take? And then you were like, all of a sudden, like, what was the little significant puzzle pieces that kind of came together where you're like, oh, wow, this really happened. This is growing. Now it's scaling. Could you share a little bit of that type of energy in there?
It's kind of funny to think back on that process because I think that sometimes we just do.
Yes.
And then we go, and we forget of how much we did. Yeah.
People ask me the same thing. They're like, Tamara, how'd you do this? And I'm like, oh gosh, do I even want to think back to that? I was like, I did it. I followed up. I took action. I took a flight. I had a meeting in an airport. All the things that people don't really think about. How did you do that? How did you connect with this person? I got in front of them, like whatever that was. I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey on that side of it, that tenacity.
Right, exactly. So for me, when I pulled out of thinking someone else had to market for me and I could market myself, I actually was very fortunate to have an affiliate who I totally resonated with, like frequencies, music frequencies.
Find those ones.
Right. And that was actually a power partner. However, it was me and the woman that I hired for my customer service the day that went live. I know, right? So, and I hired her, I think, like the day before and I was like, good luck, Right?
You're like, hired.
Bye. Right. Yeah. Right. Good luck. But ultimately my mentality was if I'm running this business, I need to know everything about it. Right. Yep. So I learned my, back
as a true leader, you like all the CEO roles, and, like understanding all the back end. So
right. I mean, now I
don't think about it now, of course.
No. And not only that, but there is something to knowing what you're going to hire out for, so you know whether someone's actually able to do that job. Like, what am I hiring, right? But there's a lot of trust, right? The first woman that I hired to be my customer service, I was like, totally trust you. If you can figure it out, great. Let me know if you need anything, And then it goes from there, right? Where the next person is like, all right, I need someone who's going to manage my inventory. I need someone who's going to, and so I hired someone to help me with marketing, to do pages, to do, offers and
funnels.
Funnels.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I didn't always hire the right person.
We haven't either.
Right.
They always say, well, a lot of our mentors say like, hire slow, fire fast. Sometimes we hire fast and fire faster. Sometimes you're in this scale mode where you're like, I need someone. This looks good. The first call initial is good. okay, let's test it. 6 weeks later, you come in and you're like, okay, that was not a fit. We have to let go, but let's keep going. Like, you can't just stop the business or be like, oh, that was a bad hire.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people don't really think about that all the time. They're like, oh, then they jump back in as a CEO and try to manage it again. And so I'm always like, okay, we're going to find, it's okay. That didn't work out. It's all right.
Correct and continue.
Exactly. I think people get all stressed out and you're like, no, just keep moving on and build that, because you're in the scaling phase at that point.
Exactly. So. Well, I think actually there is a good point with that concept of hire slow, fire fast, is that we do tend to hire fast.
Sometimes,
yes. But what I found myself doing and have done over and over and over again is I'm so backed against the wall that I give someone a position that I'm not training. Right?
Yeah.
Because, and then
you put it back on yourself. You're like, oh, that was most likely on myself if I didn't train them effectively. Right. Or if you've got the SOPs and somebody else could come in and help train them with it. So we all learn as leaders how to do that. We've all been there. It's just pick up, dust off the dust off the dust, basically, and then move forward. I've had different scenarios too where we think oh, this is going to be a great hire. It doesn't work out. And then all of a sudden you hire somebody that you didn't really think would be the fit. And then the way that we've trained the majority of our producers, we didn't know that they would actually move into producers because they were hired for another role.
Right.
So the people that have best grown with our company has actually been the copywriters, because the copywriters, they understand the client's voice, and then they were very detailed. They asked questions. They did market research. And it just so happened to be that we actually up-leveled 3 of our copywriters into project management roles.
Right.
And then they became the project floor managers as well. And they've been with the company at least 3 to 5 years. So it's interesting, where you don't know if it's almost like building up the people within and then leveling up for them because they've shown the stability with the company too. So I don't know if you've seen that too.
Yeah, well, totally. And I think that knowing your voice is really important, because it takes a long time to kind of really get that, of watching you work and watching, listen to your interviews and listen to, the things that you're doing or the things that you're teaching. And I think there's a huge value to that, so that if someone really gets it and they're capable of leveling up, it's always a great position.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I love, that what we do on the podcast piece of it, we're helping people share their authentic message and their voice and their value and their offers and things like that. But you're also doing that within your company. You're helping women be more authentic on that side. Could you share a little bit on our perspective of podcasting and stages and stuff like that? What would you share with some of the women that are watching this that are leaders, executives in boardrooms, things like that? If people are feeling less confident or maybe inauthentic, what would you say to them at this stage of their life and business?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be what you think it's going to be.
That's what I was hoping you'd say.
Right.
Just call it like it is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, really, I think to really relate to your audience, whether it's from the stage, whether it's from, like a video, or whether you're in a boardroom, or whether you're just with your team.
Yeah.
Is that the most important thing is to be yourself and transparent, but also because facial expressions are a key part of communication. I think that that's a really, really valuable piece to feeling also good about your connections, because as soon as you freeze your muscles and you can't express yourself, what happens is that people disconnect from you and you disconnect from people. Now you're really losing that really culture of connection.
Yeah.
And I think that's a valuable, and a whole nother conversation, but a valuable aspect of how do you feel good about, being in your skin. And really it's about being transparent and being able to express yourself with your emotions in your face.
What are your thoughts on this? So we've got clients that come in on Zoom and on Instagram, and they want to use the filters on their face. What are your thoughts on that? Just curious.
Okay, yeah. So I think that we are about to turn a corner. It's a very, very large corner. But I know, right? But I think we're about to turn a corner, because I think people want to connect with your
authentic self,
exactly.
Everything that's going on too.
Exactly. So if you're a podcaster, if you're in social media, if you're, at the top of your game and you're an influencer, a big part of that is people being able to understand how you connect with them,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can connect with you.
Yeah.
So if we can't, being able to like using filters and things like that, they can't read your expressions. And reading your expression, 90% of our communication.
I'm like, you look good. I'm like, is that real?
Yeah, well, yeah, right. You just divert it, right? But this whole limbic brain concept, like there's this limbic loop that is actually how we connect with each other on a limbic emotional level, is being able to see those facial expressions, because you just got derailed on like wondering whether that was, what's going on there? Is this a filter? Is this Botox? I'm not, you've lost what their meaning is.
Yeah. I actually had a conversation with a client that we have 2 clients that just love the Zoom filters. They're like, oh, it makes me look younger and all this stuff. I was like, but also when you use the footage, it like it compresses the footage more, and then it looks lesser quality and
distorted.
It does look a little distorted on that side of it. So we're like, well, are you open to just kind of bringing that filter just down like half, like just to start?
Work them in there. Right
one of them was actually like, I'm like happy to do that. Right. And I was like, well, there's the first step too. Right. But, if you think about it, even like podcasts today, like I'm here, I have makeup on and, did my hair, things like that. But a lot of the times people will relate with certain influencers that took off because they were so real. They start doing their videos with their hair all messy, up in buns, in the robe. They aren't doing their hair and makeup. And that's how I've seen actually quite a few of them take off. And that is because of that authenticity factor of it too. But I've seen it in podcasts too. You see people, they go into the studio, they're in like sweatpants or, their cup of coffee.
Right. And you think it's because they're being, authentic, like just showing up as themselves. But really, a lot of it is also being able to have that person feel like they can see who you are.
Or see how you really are. Yeah, I think that's a good point of that piece because, I'm used to going into studios, doing hair and makeup. And there's other days of the week where I'm not, I'll just be like, hey, show up. But when I'm going into like SiriusXM or other things, I'm known to do my hair and makeup. At the same time, like my other content out there, I'll do like videos, selfies. I'm got no makeup. Right. My hair might be up in a ponytail, so everyone's seeing a little bit of this part of me, a little bit more of the polished side on like a professional podcast. And I think it's okay to disperse both, right? Because you can enjoy doing your hair and makeup too.
Sure. So. Yeah. And, nothing wrong with glam either, like I almost wore red shoes today.
We're in a jet right now.
Like this is glam.
Right? I know. Yeah. It's cool to be able to have a cool experience like that too. Yeah. And I think it's just kind of the best of both worlds on that side of it. Right. So, but, I know we're going to have you come back for a second episode on this side because I think that women in general just need to understand that they can do things in life if it's now or later in life, and especially on the business side. Like you're a true testament of being able to shift gears because of an experience that you had that you helped wanted and you stuck with your heels dug deep. Like, no, I know I can do this and market this. No, this is true. This is right. Yeah. And I love that fact because a lot of the women watching this, I think a lot of people just kind of get held back or discouraged, or they feel lonely in entrepreneurship.
Understood.
And like, I want people to understand that there's other people that have done things where you've been stuck and, build a company over 10 years.
Right.
Like it doesn't happen overnight. Right. And the more that people show up and are more authentic with themselves and figure things out, but also ask for support. I think that's one of the biggest things.
Well, that's actually true, asking for support. And I've been up at 4:30 in the morning doing research plenty of times.
Yeah. Or like getting on a call with like a mentor that's done something. A lot of the times we were talking about this off camera, but there's like you connect with people and you do things and like people are always like, how did you do this? It's because I actually asked for help.
Right.
I hired somebody, or I showed up, like an example. I knew that I was called to connect with this one individual. The individual said, hey, I'm going to be in Utah. They live in North Carolina.
Right.
Hey, I can meet you for a meeting while I'm on my layover in Utah and I live in Arizona. I was like, that's a short flight for me. I'm just go. So I went and had a 4-hour meeting, flew over and then flew back. It's like those crazy things that we do. Just say yes. One of my mentors always said, say yes to success. But
not to everything.
Yes. But then I turned around and told her, I was like, but you say no to what doesn't serve you.
Right. So
I think that's
a great question to ask yourself too.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you just joining me on this this beautiful jet today. Just have a great conversation. And can you share with the ladies watching this show, like how they can connect with you, social media, website, all the fun stuff?
Yeah, sure. So True Energy, ironically enough, right? True Energy Skincare. That's TrueEnergy, skincare.com. And you can also add a /U, YOU, for specifically more information about like the facelift system itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say, check out everything she's doing with the business and everything on that side of it. I know we talked a little bit more on like business growth and a little bit of her backstory, but she's doing some great things with individuals and people in your company. So I'm just grateful for you to join me today.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful to be here. I appreciate you and appreciate your audience.
Well, thank you. And those of you that are watching, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review on Apple or Spotify, and we'll see you in the next episode.